from my book.
Everyone loves a Friday, I think. If you don't, maybe it's better than like a Tuesday. Right?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So, here we are, end of a holiday week.
Mm-hmm.
Apple's
It's
coming
like
out
all
with a...
holiday weeks, excruciatingly long.
Yeah, they're 4 days, but they're really 9. I mean, that's...
Exactly. Yep. There's something about it.
Apple supposedly, according, I believe, is to Bloomberg, coming out with a rugged Apple Watch, which kind of makes sense at the end of the day, considering that they... It's funny. If you go
Do
back
Apple
and...
Watches have a problem with that kind of thing? I don't
Well,
think so.
I think it kind of, in my 3-wrinkle brain, if you look at how Apple launched the watch, they launched it as like this high art piece of jewelry.
Yep.
And when you look at, like, they're going to launch a rugged version, like when you look at what it's really become, it's really just become like the premier sort of fitness device at the end of the day. It's not there's nobody going, should I buy an Apple Watch or a Rolex today? Like that conversation does not happen.
This is the most Apple thing ever, if you look at it in the context of what other things that they're doing, right? So first of all, it makes logical sense. Rugged version is going to have a bigger screen, I guess. Neat. But if you were to look at the economic climate, the recession we're probably in that no one's kind of admitting to yet, all of the problems we have with supply chain and worldwide conflicts and everything else, you probably wouldn't raise prices right now, as a company manufacturing goods, unless you had to, right? Like gas or whatever. Although we could debate that one.
Yep.
It's a strange approach. And so Apple, right? One of the big rumors about this coming fall is that Apple has spent so much time and effort working on these kind of Mac type chips that they are not working as hard on the stuff for the iPhone, which is bizarre because the iPhone is literally like 60-something% of their business, but whatever. And there's all this talk about the next gen stuff, like the non-pro models of the iPhone will use last year's A series chips, not the newest ones. But the big rumor, the one that I don't have an issue with that. Apple has so many different chips and they perform so well, and whatever. But the one that really stuck in the back of my mind was apparently the iPhone Pro Max, which is the big one, and is going to be $100 more expensive this year for some reason. And it's like, really? Like, really? You're going to raise prices on that thing? I think this Apple Watch thing that you mentioned is the same type of product. I think this is going to be a very expensive version of the Apple Watch. It will be like the pricing-wise will be like the iPad Pro, in that it's just hundreds of dollars more, and they can explain the little things that make it worth that much more. But I think only Apple, right, would try to raise prices and raise margins, like average margins for each product line, which I think is what these things are all about. Would do such a thing right now, like arbitrarily, right? Because it's not necessary. It's not like we only make one Apple Watch and we're raising the price. No, they make 3, 4, whatever models. They sell SE models now and last year's model and blah blah blah, whatever. They're adding another tier, and this is like the Ultimate Extras thing, right? We're going to have an Ultimate Edition now of everything, and it's going to be more expensive. And Apple used to make fun of Microsoft for doing this. Like, hey, we only make one version of Mac OS, you make 11 versions of Windows or whatever it was. Well, now they make 11 versions of everything, don't they? Where they make their money, which is hardware. I mean, I don't mean to say it's wrong or, well, yeah, I guess I do. I don't know. I guess when a strategy works, you do it. I don't know, but that's how I viewed this. That this thing will have a protective surface of whatever kind that is more expensive. It will have a bigger screen, which is more expensive. It will have last year's chipset, which is not more expensive, but whatever. But it will, there'll be some little list of things, and they'll be like, yeah, this is why. So it's $100 more or whatever, And I think that's what it is. I think that's what it really is.
Shouldn't have to wait. Well, 2 months, something like that from now.
Yeah, it's actually pretty close. 2.5 months, yeah, or 2 months, yeah.
I didn't change anything. Yep.
It's like a Microsoft product. come every time I boot into Windows, something changes. It's just what do you call it? The roulette wheel of technology.
Here's another little fun one. If you are using, and I've only heard from iOS and Mac OS users, but if you're using Defender on those two platforms, people are getting logged out, and then Microsoft saying, "Hey, you got to buy an Office 365 subscription," despite already having one. So if you see that, you're not alone, and don't buy another sub, because I don't think that's going to solve your problem.
I've seen that. I've seen people complaining about that too. That's just, it's got to be a bug of some kind.
Yeah,
either that or Apple wants to get their 30%. You know, it's like, sorry, we had to throw that in there. It's probably a bug.
It probably is. Probably Microsoft. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I also want to give a thanks to everybody who commented about the Yosemite stuff yesterday, because I got a ton of people pinging me about it. And so, yeah, like there's some really good comments. ARJ, I mean, everybody, Bluetooth, right? A ton of people commented about this stuff. And so, yeah, I think the big hang up right now, which we went and booked a bunch of stuff yesterday, just it can all be canceled. The big unknown here are the flights. If the flights come back at like $1,500-$1,600 a pop, then this isn't happening.
I know, it's crazy what's happened. A year ago, we flew to Mexico for basically, this is a slight exaggeration, probably it was sort of like $400 a piece. And we just booked trips for August and October, and they were over $1,000 a piece. Jeez. This is coach. Yeah. Like, you know, it's the I don't know what's happened here.
Who do you fly? You fly
United.
American? United, no. Yeah. Wasn't gonna. This is like sort of on the cusp, but anybody out there? So we fly Delta for various reasons. One of them is that if you get it's not the highest end, but there's a Delta credit card. There's like the one card. It's like a $500 annual fee. Not that one. There's one that we have. It's, I think, the Platinum, maybe. It's $250 a year. But you get one free companion ticket per year. Yes. So when we fly out to California, assuming we do, we'll need 3 tickets, but we'll only have to buy 2. And so I'm assuming
we do various credit card things. So we also have what I would call the second highest tier United card. We have this second highest tier Amex card, which we use for a lot of travel stuff. But we blew through a lot of our points last year. We upgraded most of our flights last year to business class, for example. I got a new United card, and the points are in there. But we were looking at the points of those trips, and it was like, business class is so expensive now. You know, business class is not like 50% more, right? It's 2 to 3 times as much. I mean, there were business class seats. This is off the top of my head. This could be wrong, but I want to say it was like, we call it $1,000 for just normal coach with the chicken cage next to you, and then $2,800 or more for a business class seat. This is only like a 4.5-hour flight, right? Like, I'm not trying to buy a car here. I just want to fly someplace. Like, it's gotten really expensive, expensive.
So either way, if people are looking at that stuff, it's worth looking into it. But the problem is then we get locked into Delta. But that's who we typically fly. But anyways.
You're also constrained by where you are, right? So my Delta experiences have always been very positive. And I remember you and I flew to Amsterdam from Boston. It was just the economy plus. Like that was this is all I need every time. Like this is what I'm looking for. It was perfect. And I seek that seat out every time I fly. But when you go to, for me, from Newark especially, United is pretty much the choice. And into Mexico City, it's the only choice. I mean, it's basically it. So they have multiple flights every day. It's like, that's what you get. So, my wife and kid, when they flew home, their flight from Mexico City left at 6:05 a.m. And like, you do the backwards math on that, you're like 6:05 a.m. You want to get there a couple hours early. You got to get to the airport. I mean, they got up at 2:30 in the morning.
Sure.
That's horrific. But they saved something like $400 to $500 per ticket by taking that early flight as opposed to like a later flight.
Which is worth it.
Yeah. I mean, they're still working off the sleep they lost, but yeah.
So anyways, we'll still see. The trip is still up in the air. Yeah, literally, because
it's because it's a plane and stuff.
It's a plane.
Well, it's a year away, but that's okay.
It is quite literally.
You might have, September will come. There'll be some big sale or something. Like you have time.
Yeah. And it's so we'll see. I hope we get to do it, but we'll see. Anyways, that's enough about whatever.
Enough about whatever.
Yeah, enough about whatever. I don't even know. What are we doing with our lives? I wonder this as I log in every day. I don't know. I was thinking, so you are going on a boat next week? Is that right?
Yeah, next Thursday we fly to Seattle. I think the boat actually departs on Saturday and then comes back Saturday. So, I mean, I'm going to be on the West Coast. Let me think about this. Yeah, I probably don't want to do a podcast at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Probably not.
But I think what I'll try to do, and I'll work this out with you, obviously offline, but figure out a time or two where I can do. I think it'd be fun. I don't think there'll be the connectivity we need to do like a thing from the boat.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the connectivity is supposed to be terrible in the boat, but I guess if it were at dock or if we were in a town or whatever, I can do one of those. Because we're going to do excursions and stuff. Maybe I'll call you from a helicopter or something.
I don't know. I'd like to call me when you see a polar bear.
Yeah. I'd be happy with a raccoon at this point. Or a seal or something. I don't know.
If you see a polar bear, just go chase it. No, we're just going to live stream
holding a sign up. We'll pose for food, kind of thing.
Well, I don't know. Not much happened this week. We'll see what leads into Microsoft. The reason for that boat thing came up is because Microsoft earnings should be, I think, the week after you get back. So,
yeah, it's usually
like
second last week in July.
Like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I don't know. That'll be a big earnings just because it's the fiscal year wrap up. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I'm sure they did okay. They seem like a reasonable business.
Made $1 through all those.
Yeah.